Hi, welcome to City Talk. This is Karen Kustovic with the Park Rangers, and we are excited to share some of our springtime, almost springtime plans with you. So we are starting out with ranger guided walks at the beginning of March on March 4th at 2 o'clock with our ever popular history walk. And this is going to be at the south end of Riverfront Park, 312 Laurel. And this walk talks about a lot of the structures and features down along the historic Columbia Canal, the 1820s canal, the 1890s canal, some of the buildings that are there that serve to provide water for the canal plant, and a lot of the fall line features as well. We're on the fall line, and Columbia is exactly where it is today because we are on the fall line, the inward limit of navigation when the area was settled. And you can stand up on that wall at the Esplanade by Canal side and look out and see those very features. So we'll usually walk up there to get an overview, talk about how this area was used by native cultures before we arrived and colonized, and then what we did with our infrastructure as we got here. In the 1820s, the Robert Mills Abram Blanding Canal was our first one, built largely by Irish laborers, and then the 1820s canal followed, interrupted briefly by that period with the Civil War and some of the other features that are there. But the hydroelectric plant as well is really precedent setting. The canal was built to provide hydropower, and it powered the nation's first electrically powered textile mill. We've got a pair of sunset ranger walks. Our traditional Tuesday walks during the winter have been at 6 o'clock, and we've got one more at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, March 7th, and this will be at the north end. Again, the setting sun and dusk at this particular location at the north end of Riverfront Park is really, really beautiful, and we'll just take a walk, admire the sunset, and see what we can see. The sun is a little bit later every day, so I think it is 6:26 that it's setting on Tuesday, March 7th, but then we will be turning clocks very shortly after that, so we are about to really lengthen all of our evening walks and all of your opportunity to go out and enjoy some time after work at the park. So we're excited about that. Thursday, March 9th, 2 days later, we're inviting people out to Southeast Park. A lot of folks still haven't made their way out Garner's Ferry to find Southeast, and it is worth that little bit of a drive because it's just a beautiful, beautiful place. We've got a pond out there surrounded by some gorgeous old live oaks. We've got disc golf and tennis, and that can satisfy just about everything you want to do. Go take your dog for a walk, go play some tennis, play some disc golf. It's a beautiful, beautiful spot, but also it's an oasis for wildlife in a heavily developed corridor. So our walk on Tuesday, March 7th, will meet at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and feature a lot of the wildlife around the park. Whenever you're walking with us, you want to remember to wear good shoes that will carry you through the walk, and check the forecast before you go. South Carolina is famously fickle at this time of year, and we all get used to running around in shorts and shirt sleeves, and then a cold front comes through and we need our down jackets again. So just take a look at the forecast. You might want a rain jacket, you might want some sunshade, sunscreen, or a hat. It all depends on what's being served up in any particular day at this time of year. We've got a sunset ranger walk. Again, the March 14th one is still at 6 o'clock, 6 to 7, much like the prior one. These sunset walks are just an opportunity for you to come out and get familiar with the park in the company of a park ranger. We'll find what we can to talk about. There are things starting to bloom and pop all over the place, so we should be looking at some of our trees and some of the plants, as well as the bird life, because as the water's warm, fish start to migrate and move upriver, and that brings with it the whole circle of life because the fish are moving, the birds that eat those fish are out looking for them. Sometimes some of our reptiles come out and catch some rays and warm up as well. So everybody's busy up there. All of nature is warming up. The park's been wonderfully busy. Our north end parking lot has been full on these past few weekends, and so park mindfully of everyone else, leave some room because everybody seems to be getting spring fever. On Saturday, March 18th at 1 o'clock, we're talking about seasonal trees and plants. So last fall, the park was gifted with 70 beautiful trees, Keep the Midlands Beautiful, and the National Arbor Day Foundation gave us a riparian tree grant, and we planted 70 trees, many of them at the north end of the park where this walk will take place. 40 of those trees are red buds, and we're hoping this time of year that we can point to them and say, look at this. They will be shining right along the canal entry path. And so those trees will be there, along with a lot of the other things that have been at Riverfront Park for years, but are tucked in. We've got things like Mayapples, we've got silver bells, we'll see butterweed. There are lots and lots of blooming plants. It's a good idea if you've got a field guide to bring it, but if you don't, we can usually tell you what it is, and if we can't, if you stump a ranger, good on you. We'll get the answer and get back to you. It's kind of fun to explore, to try to figure, what was that? Was it an aster? Or, so we like learning as much as everybody else does. A lot of our migratory birds are starting to move through, so warblers who just visit on their way through are here for people who enjoy birding, as well as all of our residents. But then all the fishing birds, as the fish start to migrate and pull in, you'll see a lot of them. And we'll also see lots of things blooming. So all of our spring bloomers, you might see Adamasco lilies. It's a little bit early for the spider lilies out on the river proper, but many blooming trees. And some of those blooms are not so showy and pollen laden, so a lot of people will have the sniffles and runny noses that are common at this time of year as all of spring starts setting out blooms. A lot of those blooms come with pollen. But it's interesting to try to pinpoint, even the trees in flower are different. The box elders bloom, and they've got these lovely long blooms that look like earrings dangling. There's just, everywhere you look, there's something to see. Spring. You know that we celebrate those seasonal markers. We celebrate the summer and the winter solstice, and the equinox is here, the vernal equinox, the first day of spring, is Monday, March 20th. And we will be down at Riverfront Park at the south end, just having a kind of meet and greet. We want to say hello to everybody, and we'll have peat pots with a little plant seed for you to take along, a sign of things to come this spring. So it's an optimistic look forward. But that's just another one of our Meet the Rangers and Mingle. Talk about programs. We love to hear from all of you. So we'd like to just get to know everyone who visits the park. We have lots and lots of regular users, and this is an opportunity for you to stop by and say hello, and maybe tell us what you like and what you'd like to see more of. So we've got World Water Day, and this is an international day. We'll be celebrating it on Wednesday, March 22nd. And for us, we'll be talking about, we're really fortunate. We live in a city with abundant water, really good quality, and that's not the case. Many people the world over have to spend a good portion of their day walking to a water source of questionable quality, and we're so fortunate to be able to turn on the tap. We take this for granted, so it's a moment to think about that, and also to think about our water. So we'll be helping you know what your watershed is, and helping you understand how to care for the good water that we've got, so we're keeping it in good shape for generations to come. Spring fever fix. Because everybody's got it. Birds do it, bees do it, and people are certainly out in the park. And so we've just got a nice fast-paced walk for what ails you. Come out. You're feeling a little antsy Tuesday, March 28th. Just come on out and have a good fast walk with us. We'll talk about what we see, but this is just one of those get out and walk days. This is, consider it a fitness walk. It's another fast-paced walk, and we're here to stretch our legs and breathe deep that good air, get some aerobic exercise. Then we'll always talk about what we see in the park. We're happy to answer questions regardless, but this one's a fitness walk. And we're finishing up on April Fool's Day. I'm jumping because it just tucks in at the end of March, and we can't miss April Fool's, and it's our No Foolin' Mother Nature walk. So we'll talk a little bit about how plants and animals adapt to fickle spring, maybe what they do or some of those adaptations that have got them exactly where they are. This is a nature walk at the north end of the park at 9 in the morning. So this is for the early risers. So you can come to Soda City, grab your coffee, grab your supplies, and come out and have a good walk. Spring is so variable. But everything from our spider lilies to the fish, and even birds have ways of adapting. So whether it's birds huddling together or puffing out their feathers, you and I can go bump up the heat and hit the thermostat and climb under that down blanket one more time. But the natural world has to find ways of either burrowing back into leaves or dens or slowing out. A lot of our reptiles, are definitely coming out this time of year. And so a lot of them will use the sun sometimes on the asphalt path, that lovely black holds the day's heat. So even if the air's gotten cold and the sun's gone down, we'll sometimes find some of our reptiles, the turtles as well, and the skinks as well as snakes. And we don't want people to be apprehensive about snakes, but know that they're out there soaking in to catch that solar radiation. That's their way of adapting. They'll find a nice log or a rock or the asphalt trail to bask on. Well, thanks, and we wish you a happy spring. We look forward to seeing you out at Riverfront Park, and if you have questions or want more information about any of these programs, you can always find our program listing on the city's website, columbiasc.net. Click to the Parks and Recreation Department, and you will find our list on the Outdoor Adventure tab on the left of the page. Happy spring.